Okay, so get this. We're diving deep today into a theory that says the Great Pyramid of Giza.
The Great Pyramid.
Yeah, wasn't a tomb at all.
Wow.
But get this, a massive ancient power plant.
Interesting.
Right. Our source material is this video that really digs into this idea.
Right.
And we're going to unpack the evidence presented and, keep our minds open.
Yeah.
But also holding on to a healthy dose of skepticism.
For sure.
Right.
What I find really intriguing is that the theory kind of hinges on some pretty unusual features of the Great Pyramid that just don't line up with typical Egyptian tomb design.
Yeah, you're right. When we think of tombs, we picture elaborate artwork, hieroglyphs, telling stories and chambers filled with treasures for the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
But the Great Pyramid is surprisingly bare.
Exactly. And here's the real head scratcher.
Yeah.
No mummy has ever been found in any pyramid.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if it wasn't meant to be a pharaoh's final resting place, then what was its purpose?
Yeah, and that's where it gets really interesting. The video highlights the mind-blowing precision of the pyramid's construction.
Yeah.
We're talking alignment with the compass points, an incredibly level base, and sides that are almost perfectly consistent in length.
Even with modern technology, that level of accuracy would be impressive.
Right.
But they achieved this over 4,500 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. And here's another detail. The video points out each side of the pyramid is actually slightly concave.
What?
Making it an 8-sided figure.
Wow.
This is only visible from above or during the equinox shadows.
An 8-sided pyramid.
I know.
That's wild.
It is. And the video goes on to say that there are mathematical relationships between the pyramid's dimensions and the Earth's size that are just too precise to be coincidental.
It really makes you wonder, what did these ancient builders know that we're only just rediscovering now?
Right. Speaking of discoveries, the video also digs into the specific materials used in the pyramid's construction, and this is where the power plant theory starts to take shape.
Okay. While most of the pyramid is made from local limestone, there are some very specific materials that weren't found nearby.
Oh, okay.
For example, the outer casing was once covered in bright white Turo limestone, which was shipped from a quarry over 500 miles away.
Wow.
And get this, Turo limestone is an excellent insulator.
That's some massive effort to go through just for aesthetics.
Yeah.
It definitely seems like they had a very specific purpose in mind for this particular type of limestone.
Absolutely. And the plot thickens when you look at the interior chambers. They use rose granite, which has a high quartz content, and quartz is where the electricity part of the theory comes in.
Okay, now I'm all ears.
Okay.
How does quartz generate electricity?
It's a fascinating property called piezoelectricity. Basically, quartz crystals create an electric charge when they're compressed or even just moved.
Yeah.
You see this in modern technology all the time. Think about those quartz watches you shake to charge, or those clicky barbecue lighters that use a compressed quartz crystal to create a spark.
Oh.
The theory suggests that the ancient builders might have known about this property of quartz and used it to their advantage.
So they lined the chambers, including the king's and queen's chambers, with granite that's packed with quartz crystals.
That's right. And according to the video, the tunnels and passageways are lined with quartz-rich granite as well. Now, if pressure was applied to all this granite, it could theoretically generate a significant amount of electricity, turning the pyramid into a massive power plant.
That's a pretty bold claim, but I'm curious, how would they create the pressure needed to activate the quartz? Where would the initial energy come from?
Well, the video dives into a theory proposed by Christopher Dunn, who's been one of the leading voices behind the pyramid power plant idea. He believes the process started in the subterranean chamber, which is located below the pyramid.
And what's down there that could generate this kind of energy?
Aquifers Dunn suggests that the water flowing through these underground cavities would create sound waves.
Okay.
And here's the kicker. He believes the frequency of these waves would resonate with the Earth's natural vibrations.
So they were tapping into the Earth's natural energy. That's a pretty mind-blowing concept.
It is. And the theory goes on to propose that these sound waves would then travel up through the pyramid and through a series of ingeniously designed features would be magnified and focused, eventually being converted into usable energy.
This is all starting to sound very intricate. So where does the Queen's chamber fit into this process?
That's where things get even more interesting. Dunn proposes that the Queen's chamber was used to create hydrogen gas through a chemical reaction. And there's actually some evidence to support this. The two shafts leading to the Queen's chamber contain traces of specific chemicals.
What kind of chemicals are we talking about?
The northern shaft shows traces of hydrochloric acid, and the southern shaft has traces of hydrated zinc chloride. Combining these two chemicals would create a reaction that produces hydrogen gas, and a lot of it.
Wow, they were creating hydrogen inside the pyramid. I'm trying to imagine how they would have controlled such a volatile reaction.
That's a great question. And according to this theory, the hydrogen gas would then flow from the Queen's chamber through the horizontal passage and right into the Grand Gallery.
Wait, the Grand Gallery, that massive sloping corridor, what role would it play in this hydrogen-powered system?
Remember, the Grand Gallery is also lined with that quartz-rich granite. As the hydrogen gas built up, it would compress the granite, creating a piezoelectric effect and generating electricity.
So the Grand Gallery is like a giant energy conduit. This is starting to sound like a giant, intricate machine.
It really is. But it doesn't stop there. It gets even more complex when you consider the acoustic properties of the Grand Gallery.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. Tell me more about the sound aspect of this.
Acoustic engineers have determined that the Grand Gallery resonates at a frequency of 440 hertz and emits an F-sharp chord. 440 hertz is considered a sound that's in harmony with the Earth's natural vibrations.
So are you saying the builders intentionally designed the Grand Gallery to resonate at this specific frequency? What would be the purpose of that?
That's what the theory suggests. And it's not just the Grand Gallery. The King's Chamber, located at the top of the Grand Gallery, also resonates at 440 hertz.
I see a pattern here. Everything seems to be tuned to this specific frequency. It's like they were trying to create some kind of harmonic resonance within the entire structure. But how would they achieve such precise acoustic tuning?
Well, get this. The relieving chambers above the King's Chamber are made of massive granite beams. These beams have smooth sides but rough-cut tops, and Dunn believes they were tuned to resonate at the F-sharp chord by chipping away at the granite until they achieve the desired sound.
So the whole pyramid is like a giant musical instrument designed to resonate with the Earth's energy. This is mind-blowing. But is there any scientific evidence to back up the idea that the pyramid could actually generate and harness energy? I mean, this is a pretty extraordinary claim.
There is some scientific evidence that kind of lends credence to this theory. In 2018, a team of scientists used radio waves to study the pyramid's electromagnetic properties. What they found was that the pyramid can actually focus electromagnetic energy in its chambers, especially at those resonant lengths we were just talking about.
So they proved that the pyramid could interact with electromagnetic energy. That's a pretty big deal, wouldn't you say?
It is. And it adds another layer of possibility to this whole power plant idea. Then a year later, in 2019, physicist Eric Wilson published a paper describing how vibrating granite can actually cause electrons to migrate to the surface.
Huh.
This finding further supports the idea of the pyramid generating energy.
It's amazing to think that we might be rediscovering ancient knowledge about energy that was lost for centuries. But if this pyramid was a power plant, how would they get the energy out? How would they actually use it?
That's where Nikola Tesla enters the picture. Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower, which was designed to transmit energy wirelessly, has some striking similarities to the Great Pyramid.
Okay, now we're getting into some really interesting territory. Tell me more about this Tesla connection.
Both the pyramid and Tesla's tower were built on aquifers. And just like the pyramid, Tesla believed he could harness the Earth's resonance to transmit energy wirelessly. Some researchers even speculate that the pyramid might have had a gold capstone, which could have drawn the energy upwards for transmission, similar to how Tesla envisioned his tower working.
So Tesla might have been tapping into ancient knowledge, drawing inspiration from the pyramid itself. That's a pretty fascinating thought. But if the pyramid really was a power plant, what happened to it? Why isn't it working now? There should be some evidence left behind, Ray.
Right. And the video addresses this. There's evidence of significant damage inside the pyramid, suggesting that something went very wrong at some point.
What kind of damage are we talking about?
There are scorch marks in the Grand Gallery, cracks in the King's Chamber, granite beams, and even evidence that the walls of the King's Chamber have been pushed outwards.
That definitely sounds like something catastrophic happened. What could have caused this kind of damage?
One theory is that there was an uncontrolled explosion, possibly due to the volatile chemical reactions happening inside the pyramid. Those chemicals they were supposedly using to create hydrogen, well, some of those can be pretty explosive if not handled correctly.
So the pyramid's power source could have also been its downfall. It's like something out of a science fiction novel, a powerful technology that ultimately self-destructs.
It's a dramatic idea for sure. The video also mentions the presence of salt in the southern shaft, which could indicate that hydrogen was boiling there at some point. Christopher Dunn, who we mentioned earlier, believes that this damage could be the result of a cataclysmic event, possibly even an asteroid impact.
An asteroid impact. Wouldn't the ancient Egyptians have recorded something that dramatic? I mean, that would have been a major event in their history.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But there are no Egyptian records of such an event. And this leads us to another intriguing part of this theory, the idea that the pyramid predates the ancient Egyptians.
Wait, so the Egyptians might not have built the pyramid at all? Who else could have built something so massive and complex?
There's a theory called the Orion constellation theory, which suggests that the pyramid complex aligns with the stars in the Orion constellation, but not Orion's position today.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued. Tell me more about this Orion connection.
The alignment matches Orion's position in the sky 13,500 years ago.
Wow.
And remember how we talked about the builder's obsession with equinoxes? Well, the Sphinx faces due east, and on the vernal equinox 13,500 years ago, the constellation Leo would have risen due east directly in line with the Sphinx.
So the astronomical alignments suggest the pyramid could be much older than we think. It's like they were encoding a specific moment in time into the structure itself. But who are these people who could have built something like this so long ago? And what happened to them?
Those are some of the biggest questions surrounding this theory. And the video delves into a possible explanation, the Younger Dryas event.
Okay, I've heard of the Younger Dryas, but I'm not exactly sure what it was. Can you give me a quick rundown of how it fits into this whole story?
Of course, the Younger Dryas was a period of rapid climate change that marked the end of the last ice age. And there's evidence to suggest that it was a truly catastrophic event, possibly triggered by a massive solar flare or a comet impact.
A solar flare or a comet impact? That sounds like something straight out of a disaster movie.
It would have been devastating. Imagine widespread fires, floods, earthquakes, and tsunamis. It would have been a global event that reshaped the planet.
So this Younger Dryas event could explain why we see evidence of damage within the pyramid. Perhaps whatever systems they had in place to control this energy were overwhelmed by the floods or other disasters. It's like their technology backfired, and the cataclysm that wiped out their civilization also destroyed the very thing that powered it.
That's one possibility.
Yeah.
And it ties in with all those ancient flood myths from around the world. What if those stories are actually based on a real event, a global cataclysm that wiped out an advanced civilization?
This is all incredibly fascinating, but a part of me is still skeptical. If this ancient civilization was so advanced, wouldn't they have left behind more obvious traces? I mean, where are all the tools, the machines, the written records?
That's a valid point. And the video suggests that perhaps we haven't been looking in the right places. Or maybe the evidence is right in front of us, but we're just not interpreting it correctly.
Like the pyramid itself, it's almost too big, too complex to comprehend. What if we're just scratching the surface of what it really is?
Exactly. And this brings us to another interesting parallel, that the video draws the suppression of Nikola Tesla's ideas about wireless power.
You're right. If this pyramid power plant theory is even remotely viable, why haven't we seen attempts to recreate it even on a smaller scale? It seems like unlimited clean energy would be something everyone would be racing to develop.
That's a great question. And the video explores the possibility that just like Tesla was blacklisted by powerful investors who had a vested interest in existing energy industries, maybe there are forces at work today that are suppressing clean energy technologies for economic and political reasons.
So the same greed and power struggles that silenced Tesla a century ago might be preventing us from unlocking the secrets of the pyramid. That's a pretty unsettling thought.
It is,
Yeah.
but it also highlights how revolutionary the pyramid power plant theory could be if proven true. It challenges the status quo, disrupts entire industries, and have the potential to change the world as we know it.
And that can be a dangerous thing for those in power. It's like history repeating itself. But even if we set aside the idea of a power plant for a moment, there's still so much we can learn from the pyramid's design, from the sheer ingenuity of its builders.
Absolutely. And who knows, as we continue to explore the mysteries of the past, we might uncover even more evidence that challenges our understanding of history and opens up entirely new possibilities for the future.
Well, this deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I think we need to take a closer look at this Younger Dryas event. It seems to play a pretty crucial role in this whole theory, and I want to make sure we fully understand its significance.
The Younger Dryas is a fascinating piece of Earth's history. Scientists have been studying it for decades, and as our understanding of climate science has evolved, we've discovered that the changes during the Younger Dryas were even more abrupt and dramatic than we initially thought.
So we're talking about a truly rapid climate shift, not a gradual process happening over hundreds or thousands of years.
Exactly what's remarkable is that the ice core data suggests the transition out of the Ice Age and into the warmer climate we have today happened incredibly fast, possibly within a matter of years or even less.
Wow, that's practically the blink of an eye in geological terms.
Well,
What could possibly cause such an abrupt change? It must have been a pretty significant event.
that's the question that has puzzled scientists for a long time. There are a lot of theories, but one of the most intriguing possibilities is that a massive influx of fresh water into the North Atlantic Ocean disrupted ocean currents, which in turn triggered a cascade of climate changes around the globe.
So it wasn't just about the melting glaciers themselves, but how that sudden surge of meltwater affected the delicate balance of the Earth's systems.
Precisely, think of it like a giant conveyor belt of ocean currents that helps regulate global temperatures. When that conveyor belt is disrupted, things can go haywire pretty quickly.
Okay, I'm starting to see how a sudden influx of fresh water could throw a wrench into the whole system. But how does this tie back to the pyramid power plant theory? Was this event the cataclysm that Christopher Dunn was talking about?
It's certainly possible. If this ancient civilization did exist and was utilizing some form of advanced energy technology, rapid climate shift and the resulting floods and extreme weather events could have overwhelmed their systems, leading to a catastrophic failure, maybe even the explosion we see evidence of inside the pyramid.
So the Younger Dryas event could provide an explanation for the damage we see in the pyramid, and might even hold the key to understanding the fate of this hypothetical civilization. It makes you wonder if other ancient myths and stories about floods and lost civilizations could also be tied to this event.
It's a thought-provoking connection. The Younger Dryas is a period of immense change, and we're only beginning to grasp its full impact on the planet and potentially on past civilizations.
This whole deep dive has been a wild ride. We started with a pyramid, and now we're talking about global cataclysms and lost civilizations. It really makes you question everything you thought you knew about history.
It's a reminder that our understanding of the past is constantly evolving as new discoveries are made. And who knows what other secrets might still be out there waiting to be uncovered.
That's what I love about exploring these kinds of theories. It opens your mind to new possibilities. So listener, what do you think? Is the Great Pyramid a testament to the ingenuity of an ancient lost civilization? Or is it simply a monumental tomb built by the Egyptians? And that's what we're left with, more questions than answers.
There is still so much we don't know. But hopefully this deep dive has given you a new perspective on the Great Pyramid and the mysteries it holds. Perhaps someday further research will provide more definitive answers, but until then, the speculation and exploration continues.
And that's the beauty of it all, isn't it? The quest for knowledge is an ongoing journey. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep exploring the wonders of our universe.